I think everybody's in, and it's 3:01, so we'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Natalie Koo. I'm APHA's Assistant Director of Conventions, and I am joined here today by Donna Wright, APHA's Manager of Scientific Session Development, and Marisa Silva, APHA's Meeting Manager. We are recording this presentation right now, and we will be posting it to APHA's website probably next week. We will let you know when it's been posted for review. If you have any questions, please use the chat feature. Marisa will be monitoring the chat and may answer questions as we're talking, so keep an eye on possible responses. And we'll also take questions at the end of the session. We do have the ability to turn on microphones to take questions, so if you'd like to verbally ask your question, use the raise your hand option, and we'll get to you at the end of the presentation. So some basic details about the APHA annual meeting and presenting. You must be registered for the APHA annual meeting to present and access your session. In-person oral sessions take place Sunday, October 24th through Wednesday, October 27th. So if you're still finalizing your travel, make sure you arrive in time for our opening general session on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. All sessions are scheduled in Mountain Time, so when you are viewing our annual meeting program or you're looking at emails and you see the time of your session, that is in Mountain Time. All of our oral sessions are taking place this year in the Colorado Convention Center, and all attendees must be vaccinated for the annual meeting and must wear a mask. We sent an email out last week with information on vaccine verification. You will have to show proof of your vaccine when you arrive at the convention center. In-person presenters must upload your presentation slides, your PowerPoint presentation, to your speaker's corner by October 18th. And we are recording the in-person session so that those who can't travel to Denver are able to watch your presentation. And they'll be available for viewing until January 31st, that should be 2022, in the virtual meeting or the annual meeting platform. And as an in-person attendee, you do have access to everything that's taking place in the annual meeting platform, which means you can go and see your recording and other recordings from in-person sessions, watch live virtual sessions, view on-demand videos, and watch recordings from the virtual sessions. I'm now going to turn things over to Donna to talk a little bit more about getting prepared for your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. So the first thing we wanted you to do was make sure you familiarize yourself with the annual meeting platform. Even though you're presenting in person, we still want you to be able to sign in with your registration number and email address so that you can navigate to those sessions that you want to watch virtually. And we also want you to be able to view your session in the meeting platform and see the room location for your event. We will have a printed program in person. However, the program that we'll be distributing on site will not have the most up-to-date information. So the annual meeting platform will be the best place to check for any updates, as well as our annual meeting mobile app that we will be announcing, I believe, later today or sometime tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you can log in and see your room location, and you want to make sure you have created your PowerPoint presentation. Again, we did ask you to upload through your speaker's corner your PowerPoint slides so that we can download your slides, carry them to the annual meeting, and upload them to your session computer so that you don't have to struggle with anything. You just show up for your session and your PowerPoint slides will be on the session computer. I'm also encouraging you to bring your slides on a flash drive, excuse me, just in case you have some changes you want to make. We're going to have a speaker ready room set up on site so that you can go to the speakers ready room and update your slides, and then we can get those slides preloaded onto the session computer. October 18th is the final deadline to upload your slides. So On the 19th, you won't be able to upload them, so please keep that in mind. And the deadline to upload, or the time on the deadline date, is 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. And don't wait until the last day, because that's when everybody wants to upload. And so the system does get kind of tied up, and sometimes you may miss the opportunity to get them uploaded. Your PowerPoint must include a disclosure form, and we did provide a template for that in your speaker's corner. And it just basically just indicates either what you indicated on your submission, what your disclosure statement is. You can just copy it and paste it into a slide. It should mirror, the slide should mirror your slides. And if you have nothing to disclose, you can just type, I have nothing to disclose. We also want you to keep accessibility in mind as well, because that's a priority for APHA. We want to make sure our meeting has the widest range of accessible presentations for our members. And we do have some really helpful information on the oral session guidelines page. And we have some new videos as well that talks about how to do your presentation with keeping accessibility in mind. So we hope you will check that out. We also want you to practice your presentation. Next slide. So on site, we want you to arrive to your session 15 minutes before the session starts. Make sure you introduce yourself to the moderator and your other co-presenters or colleagues that are presenting with you on your session. And also, if there's a tech support, make sure you know who that person is. We will have room monitors monitoring the sessions. And so if there's any technical issues that you encounter, make sure you can connect to the person that we have monitoring the session so they can reach out to us and let us know of any technical issues that need to be resolved. The moderator will start the session by introducing the session as well as all the presenters. And the presenters will go in the order listed in the annual meeting platform. So again, make sure you've logged into the platform, you viewed the session to see the other presentations that are associated with your session, and you can see the order of each presentation. And each presenter will have 15 minutes to present. Next slide. Each of the rooms will be equipped with a computer, a projector, and a screen, as well as a microphone. Your presentation will be preloaded, as I mentioned before, onto the computer. So you'll click on your presentation title, or it may be by your name. So just click on the title or your name, and that will start the PowerPoint and the session recording. The laptop also will record your PowerPoint movements, and it will use the camera on the laptop to capture you speaking. Next slide. Audience members can ask questions of you at the end of the session, so be sure to repeat the audience questions, so those with hearing issues, and that the recording captures the questions and the answers. After the session, each presenter will have a discussion board, well, before the session. In the annual meeting platform, there is a discussion board associated with everyone's abstract. So if you navigate to your session, click on the title of the session, and then click on your abstract presentation. Scroll to the bottom below the abstract text. There's a discussion board where people can leave a comment or a question about your abstract. Virtual attendees will have the ability to do this as well. And so if there is a question posted, you will receive an email, and you will be required to log into the platform, go to that discussion board, and then you can submit your response there. So definitely continue to use our annual meeting platform to network. We also have a number of networking opportunities in person. And this will allow you to continue your conversation with your colleagues as well as those attending the meeting. Your session recording will be available 3 days after the meeting. Recordings are available until the end of January of next year, as Natalie mentioned earlier. And we will send you an email to request that you update the captioning in your presentation. Handouts can also be uploaded and associated with your presentation. If you wanted to provide some additional supporting information or something that's not part of your presentation slides, you do have the option to upload handouts through your speaker's corner. Next slide. Natalie, next slide. Either I'm having problems or Natalie is having problems. Natalie,
can you hear me now? Sorry, I think I was having a bit of
sorry,
internet.
yes, there you are.
Okay, there we go. My internet seemed to have gone out for a second there. As I mentioned earlier, all in-person annual meeting attendees must be fully vaccinated to participate in the meeting. Full vaccination is defined as 2 shots of the Pfizer or Moderna COVID vaccine, or 1 shot of the Johnson & Johnson product, or an international equivalent. We do ask that you wear face masks during the entire meeting, since we will be inside. You can take off your mask when you're presenting, but we ask that you wear your mask as you walk to and from the podium. And then during Q&A, you'll all be sitting at at the front table, so please leave your masks on during Q&A. So what to do if, here's a couple scenarios we wanted to walk through. We are doing our best to assign moderators to every session taking place during the annual meeting, but moderators can be the hardest role to fill. And so if a moderator doesn't show, the first presenter should just go up to the podium, and begin their presentation. If a presenter doesn't show, simply skip them in line. So if number 2 doesn't show, presenter 1 would go first, and then just move on to the third person listed in the annual meeting platform. And if you didn't upload your PowerPoint in advance of the meeting, as Donna said, we have a speaker ready room in the Colorado Convention Center. It's in the 600 wing. You can go to the speaker ready room and upload your PowerPoint presentation in advance. We ask that you do that 16 hours before your presentation. That gives us the time to then upload the presentation to the session room. If you can't do that, then please bring your PowerPoint presentation to the room on a flash drive. There is not necessarily Wi-Fi in the room. Most of the rooms should have Wi-Fi, but I wouldn't rely on Wi-Fi to download your PowerPoint presentation. So if you know you didn't upload it in advance, please bring it on a flash drive. And I should say, we keep saying PowerPoint presentation. You can utilize other tools if you'd rather build it in Prezi. We have had people do that in the past, but PowerPoint is APHA's preferred, and it's the most accessible. So that comes to the conclusion of our little presentation. Most of the stuff we went through today is in the guidelines. And so we thought what we would do is open up to questions that maybe we aren't answering in our guidelines. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And Marisa, if you can share some questions that are coming in from the audience.
Yeah, 15 minutes, does that include Q&A, or there's more Q&A at the end after 15 minutes?
Q&A is at the end of the last presentation.
So I guess the question is 15 minutes, does that include the Q&A or no?
No, 15 minutes is for the actual presentation. Okay. After the last presentation is when the Q&A will begin for everyone.
Okay, and there was a question about conflict of interest forms, where to upload that. Can't find out where to upload it in the speaker's corner.
You don't need to upload a conflict of interest form because you've already done that during the submission of the abstract. So we're just asking you for your first slide in your slide presentation to include a disclosure slide template or a disclosure. And we provided a template in your speaker's corner to use as a guide. Basically, you're either just going to indicate in that first slide, I have nothing to disclose. Just type in conflict of interest, I have nothing to disclose. Or you can copy and paste in what your qualification disclosure statement was during your abstract submission.
Okay, and this person is actually specifically saying they can't upload anything because they get a message that says you are missing a conflict of interest form.
Okay, that must mean that the person was just switched to a presenter. So if you're in your speaker's corner and it says you're missing it, there should be a link that says not completed, or some type of a link next to your name. If you click on that link, it will take you to the disclosure form to complete.
And someone said if you're on the disclosure slide, if you have nothing to disclose, do you just make a statement that says the following personal financial relationships, commercial interests relevant to the presentation exists during the past 12 months? Or can we just say no relationships to disclose?
That's fine. No relationships to disclose is fine.
What else? There was a question about the masks at the podium, but I think we answered that on one of the slides, right?
Yeah, we're suggesting that you take your mask off to present so that you can be heard clearly. But if you're not comfortable with that, you can leave your mask on.
Will sessions be either all virtual or all in person, or will it be a mix of speaking types within a session?
That's a very good question. The sessions will either be all in person or all virtual. So if by chance you are doing an in-person and a virtual session, if you're in person in Denver, you have to be in Denver to do the in-person. But you can also present virtually if you have a virtual presentation. We're asking you to do that from your hotel room just because the Wi-Fi will be more secure and stable. However, we are setting up a room at the convention center for those that will be doing virtual presentations so that you have a place to go to do your presentation virtually. So we'll be announcing that soon. We'll be sending out an email to presenters about that, just so you know you do have a backup location to do your presentation virtually.
Someone's asking about having trouble contacting their moderator about the presenter change. Is there someone I can contact?
Actually, you don't necessarily have to notify the moderator. We're asking the moderator to reach out to all the presenters. So if you do have a presenter change, you really should contact APHA. You can contact me at donna.wright@apha.org so that I can make the change for you. Or you can just log into your speaker's corner and make that change. If you go down to the authors section, you can either add the person who's the new presenter or just select the radio button next to the new presenter's name, and that change will automatically take effect.
Can we use video clips in the presentation?
Yeah, I believe you can, Natalie, use video clips.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yep. I think there's some questions about switching to virtual. So please email the presenters inbox, presenters@apha.org, if you're looking to switch to virtual. At this point, you might not be able to switch, and in that case, we'll have to withdraw your presentation. If you are attending this session, it should be because you have an in-person presentation, and it will stay in person. So somebody is asking, will I be told if the session is switching to virtual? That might happen, and we will send you an email, but at this point, this late point in the game, most of the sessions that are happening in person, or all the sessions that are scheduled to be in person, should be moving forward with in person.
Comments in the discussion board, are they saved and available to view after the end of the session?
Yes, they are. I'm not sure if they stay up until the end of January. Natalie, I don't know if you can confirm that, but yes, your discussion board that's in the meeting platform where people will be leaving you questions, you will be responding through the platform as well, so that anyone who is viewing those discussions will see all of the questions and answers. I'm just not sure about how long they stay up. It may be until the end of January of next year.
It'll be to the end of January. So you might, we saw last year that most of the questions came in a week or two after the meeting, but it is possible that somebody could reach out to you with a question about your research or findings, your best practices, a month or two after the meeting is over.
How do you find the presenter's letter? There should have been an email about that, right?
That's right. There was an email sent that your presenter letter is ready. You have to log into your speaker's corner, and there is a button to generate the letter. Now you have to be registered for the annual meeting in order for that letter to generate. And that letter basically is just for your records only. And it does provide all the details about your session. Excuse me. And it also gives you the room location. So if you're not navigating to the annual meeting platform to see your room location, you certainly can find it in that presenter letter.
I'm going to answer a couple of older questions that I'm seeing. So Robert Franklin is asking if we don't plan to have slides, do you need to notify us? No, you don't need to let us know that you're not having slides. Donna, if they don't have slides, how do we capture can we still capture their recording?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be able to capture the voice of their recording. You may have, I would suggest that you go to the speaker ready room on site if you don't have slides, and check with tech support to see how they would at least capture your voice. They may have to just put in like a dummy file or a dummy placeholder, and so they'll be able to answer that question.
And then there's a question about using Photovoice, your presentations on Photovoice. I actually don't know what Photovoice is. I'm assuming it is another presentation format like PowerPoint. And if you're going to have a lot of pictures, our recommendation is that you just describe those pictures for people who have low vision, no vision, or colorblind. It's great that you're using an accessibility template, but you really do want to make sure you're describing those photos beforehand. If you want to email our presenters inbox, I can I manage that along with Marisa and Donna, and we can try to send it over to our accessibility team to look at it, but I can't guarantee they'll have time to do that. They're volunteers. But again, if you're just using, this goes for everybody, if you're using a lot of photos or clip art or pictures or graphs, please make sure you're describing those for those who can't see. Let's see. Michael's asking when you'll know what room you'll be in for your presentation. The rooms have been assigned. Donna, does it say that in your speaker's corner? What rooms?
It says it in your presenter letter, or you have to navigate to the annual meeting platform to see the room location.
There's a question about live webcasting of oral presentations. I answered no, but we do have a group of featured sessions that will be live streamed.
Yeah. So our featured sessions, which are APHA's highest level sessions, are the only ones being live streamed from Denver to the virtual audience. And you should know if you're a featured session speaker. If you're everybody else, you have to be in person. There's no way to be webcasted into a presentation.
But the recordings for oral presentations will be made available later.
That's correct. Yes. Seeing a couple questions about speaker corner access. If you've been having trouble accessing the speaker's corner, please email presenters@apha.org. We can look into your login and see if there's an issue.
Can people make minor changes to their slides after the 10/18 deadline?
Yes, you can, but you would have to do so in the speaker ready room on site. Again, it's the speaker's corner upload deadline is the 18th. After the 18th, the site will be closed, so you will not be able to upload after that date. So bring it with you on a flash drive and go to the speaker ready room, and hopefully you can do that 16 hours beforehand. But if not, just take it to the session room and upload it directly to the computer.
Can people make minor changes like typos in their title right now?
You would have to email presenters@apha.org, unfortunately. We're the only ones that can make those kinds of changes at this point. But I want just to reiterate that it's just the three of us that monitor that inbox, and we have about 4,500 to 5,000 presenters. So that box is filling up, and we may not be able to get to your question, unfortunately. We're just trying to get to them as quickly as we can. So just be patient with us. Any other questions?
Speaker ready room. I know I should know the number by heart, but I'm looking it up. You guys know it by heart?
608, I believe. I think it's room 608.
Yeah, 608. You're right.
Yeah.
You can bring handouts in person if you would like. The other option is you can upload a handout to in your speaker's corner. That handout then becomes part of the annual meeting platform and will be available until January 31st. So you can print and bring some if you would like. Donna, can two presenters do the presentation?
As long as you both are registered and members of APHA, you can, and you must stick within your allotted time.
Do we have a good example of a presentation? I can look back and see if we can find one from past years and share it on our website, but I think a good presentation is one where your research, your findings, your best practices are clearly laid out, where you're not reading too much off a slide. A slide shouldn't have 20 bullet points on it. It should be interesting, and you should be sharing new research and engaging audience that way. And I will share one, we forgot to put this on here, but if there's no questions that come up from the audience at the end, think about what questions you would want to ask the audience. So sometimes having a panelist ask questions to the audience helps stir conversation, or because everybody in your session, all the presenters in your session are on a similar topic, I suggest you ask a question of another presenter, and that helps stir the conversation as well.
I would suggest if you want to bring handouts with you, I would say 10 to 15. But if you upload them in your speaker's corner, we will have a mobile app available. If someone's on their mobile app, they can pull up the handout easily by going to the mobile app for your presentation.
There's a question here. Just lost it. It's about co-hosts and having to change the schedule. Oh, can co-hosts reschedule their sessions? My co-host session is directly before my presentation, and I'll likely not be able to get to my panel for presentation 15 minutes early.
So if you're a co-host in a virtual session and you don't think you'll have time, email presenters at apha.org, and we can see if there's another co-host slot we can move you to.
I'm not sure if this is a virtual or.
Well, co-host would only be in a virtual session.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Thomas is saying, I was told that my co-author could not present with me. Has that guidance changed? Yeah, we've changed it a little bit this year. Our policy in the past has been that you could only have one presenter. I think we're being a little bit more flexible this year because of COVID and changes on site. The most important thing, if there's going to be two people presenting, is that you really need to stay within your time limit.
For moderators, were they contacted by email? How do you know if you were a moderator? This person's asking because they volunteered to be a moderator.
Yeah, you actually would have been sent an email confirming that you are a moderator, and we would have provided you with your session. Maybe check your spam just to make sure. It would have come from presenters@apha.org. If you would like to be a moderator, if you know how to reach out to your program chair, there was a link to the program chairs in previous emails that were sent to you. So please reach out to the program chairs. I'm sure we can use more moderators. Natalie, are you sharing your?
Sorry?
I see on your screen you're still sharing.
Oh gosh, sorry, sharing my email.
What else do we have?
We'll be. This is being recorded, So today's recording and the slides will be shared.
Someone's asking to repeat the information about completing the COI form if I'm listed as a co-author. Only the presenting author needs to complete a conflict of interest. However, if you do have a co-presenter, there still is no way for a co-author to submit a COI through the system. But when you do your live presentation, you can have a slide that indicates both of your COIs on that one slide.
Did we already answer this question about if you want who to contact regarding switching presentation from in-person to virtual? The program planners aren't responsive.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a problem at this point because all of the sessions are full. Unless the program chair of your section can actually switch the entire session to virtual, they may not be able to switch individual presentations at this point. However, I would still try to continue to reach out to the program chair to see if you can get an answer. That's the only thing I can offer at this late date.
There's somebody asking about assistance to get around the convention center. Can it be someone who is not registered for APHA?
Everyone needs to be registered for APHA, but we have a policy where we can register personal aid. So please email, and I'll put this in the chat right now. It's access@apha.org, and we can help register a personal aid for you, though that person does need to be fully vaccinated.
And to confirm, yes, the speaker ready room at the convention center is in room 608.
Somebody's asking to repeat the info on completing the conflict of interest form if I'm listed as a co-author.
Yeah, I think I just answered that. A co-author does not have to complete a conflict of interest form because we only prefer like one person to give the presentation. However, if you're co-presenting, I would suggest that the main conflict of interest slide that you will be displaying with your presentation indicates for both presenters or the co-presenter that you have nothing to disclose, or you can type in a brief disclosure statement if you need to, if you do have something to disclose.
Did we answer this one about the October 18 deadline?
Yeah, that is the final deadline. Any time after 11:59 p.m. on October 18th, the site will close and you will not be able to upload in advance of the meeting. So you should bring it on a flash drive. Go to the speaker ready room 16 hours before your session starts if you can. Otherwise, just take your flash drive to the session room and upload it directly to the computer.
And is the deadline, October 18th deadline, the same for virtual presentation uploads?
Virtual presenters do not have to upload anything.
Right, you will be sharing your screen with your slides.
Donna, is a PDF work instead of a PowerPoint presentation, or does it have to be a PowerPoint?
I think it has to be a PowerPoint. I'm pretty sure it has to be a PowerPoint, yeah.
And there's a question, how do you get to the Speaker's Corner from the APHA conference website? Honestly, the best place to get to your Speaker's Corner is from the emails we're sending you, because we're giving you a direct link to your Speaker's Corner. But if you don't have access to those emails, if you go to the presenter guidelines page, you can click on something called the user portal. The user portal will show not just your Speaker's Corner, but will also show if you're a co-author on an abstract, if you're a moderator, and from there you can get to your Speaker's Corner. Great, any new questions?
There's a couple questions. There's a question about email addresses. It's important that the email address matches whatever email you use to register, make sure that that matches what you're using in the abstract system, because it could cause some problems. If you need to change it in your registration, you should email the registration company. I'll put the email in the chat. Registration at spargoinc.com.
And just to remind everyone, the time limit for your presentation is 15 minutes. So after the last presenter presents, then that's when the Q&A will start for the whole group. Anything else?
Amelia, that's correct. Individual presenters should upload their individual presentation to the speaker's corner, and then it gets uploaded to the computer in the session room. So the moderator does not collect the PowerPoint presentations in advance. And Thomas, no, you don't need to inform us that you're going to have a co-presenter as long as that person is registered and lists, and they should be listed as a co-author already, I'm assuming, then you're all set.
Badge errors.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
You should have gotten an email to correct it. I don't remember the deadline to submit the errors, but again, you could email APHA registration. I'll put it in the chat at spargoinc.com.
And at this point, since the badges are not being remailed again, you'll just want to go to an on-site registration counter and ask them to fix the badge error.
Oops, I spelled it wrong.
There is not water in the room at this convention center, but there are lots of water fountains and water bottle refilling stations. So we always recommend that you bring your own water bottle with you. The Speaker's Corner is different than the APHA virtual meeting platform, so you can't access the Speaker's Corner from the annual meeting platform. The easiest way to access the Speaker's Corner is to find it in one of the emails we sent you, or if you go to the guidelines for presenters, go to the user portal, and that will get you to your Speaker's Corner. So Thomas, that link that you just sent is your, well, I guess it maybe doesn't matter, but everybody has their own personalized Speaker's Corner. So that link you have has your information tied to it, but I think when the person logs in, it will maybe hopefully take them to their Speaker's Corner and not yours.
I can copy the users portal link in here. Oops, I lost my chat.
Elizabeth, we suggest that you arrive to the in-person room for your presentation about 15 minutes in advance. We're anticipating around 4,000 in-person attendees, and they'll be split amongst a number of in-person sessions happening at the same time. So we really don't know how many people will be in each session room, but there'll be about 4,000 people around the building during the meeting.
Yes, so regarding the disclosure form or the disclosure statement, as long as you indicate I have nothing to disclose in your first slide, you're all set.
Layla asked, are we supposed to have our presenter's badge by now? Depending on when you registered, if it was early enough, we did send badges in the mail. If you registered early, you registered back in July or August and you didn't get a badge in the mail, it may have been lost. And if that's the case, you can just pick up a badge when you arrive on site. Full schedule of events is actually available now. You go to our annual meeting platform, and I'll put a link to that in the chat. You can search for any session or event that you're interested in attending. You can browse by day, browse by program. That's the best way to see the full presentation. Thomas asked a great question. Will there be enough space at the head table to be 6 feet apart? We are trying to space them out, but you might not be quite 6 feet apart. If you're uncomfortable, you feel too close, you can move the chairs further apart. Yeah, the badges should arrive to everyone already. But again, if you didn't receive your badge in the mail, you can just pick one up on site. Will we have a mic while presenting? Yes, you'll walk to a podium, and that podium will have a mic at it. Will badge holders be made available at the conference? Our badges are printed on a stock that doesn't require a badge holder, but we will have lanyards available, and they clip right onto the badge that was mailed to you or that you'll pick up at registration. Eleanor, yes, you can bring notes with you to the podium. But Donna, I think when they share their screen, when they click on their PowerPoint presentation, they see the full presentation, right? They wouldn't see if they had any notes at the bottom. Okay.
That's right. You would not see any notes at the bottom.
There's a question, where do we browse for other presentations to attend? If you're referring to in the virtual meeting platform, I just posted, or the annual meeting platform, I posted that link up above. I'll post it again. You can search, there's a number of ways to search. So you could search for, by day program. You can use the search feature and look up by topic. You could search for a presenter. There's, I don't know, Donna, like 1,000 sessions taking place, so you'll want to really narrow down to your topic areas. Kelly, that's a great question. What accommodations are being made for those who cannot stand at a podium? Email access@apha.org, and we can work to provide an additional mic in the room so that you don't have to stand at the podium. Is there any more questions? Okay, well, thank you all for joining us today. I hope we got through all your questions, but if something comes up that we didn't get to answer, you can always email our inbox, presenters@apha.org. As Donna mentioned, we're getting through that as quickly as we can. It's the three of us monitoring it with lots of other things on our plate as we get closer to the meeting, but presenters@apha.org. We'll also be posting this presentation to the website next week. And the guidelines page is a really great place to go. A lot of what we talked about here today is on the guidelines page. Sorry, just going to answer these last questions coming in. Irv, yeah, I think you can try to turn the PowerPoint mode on in the laptop. I think that will work. It's just that we have the recording technology, so it might be set up a little bit differently. Well, thank you all, and we hope you have a great presentation, and we appreciate you being part of APHA's annual meeting. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Have a great day. Bye.